What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. The New Orleans Saints, man, Sunday's game was weird because it felt like there was so much good. There really was, but you left a lot on the table in the first half. It ends up coming back to bite you, and then the disastrous finish with the Taysom Hill injury. But again, it's yet another time this year in which it was on the edge of being right. Falcons lose. If you win the game, you're one game behind. You come out, you're on fire. Defense plays awesome. Defense plays awesome really the entire game. Offense does a lot of good things, but just could not get across the finish line. What was your biggest takeaway from Sunday?
My biggest takeaway, coming right down to the very last offensive play of the game, is I think we kind of saw what Derek Carr is a quarterback. He's somebody that you can win with, but you're not going to win because. And I feel like at the end of the game, that was a win because moment where he had to do something a little bit extra to buy a little bit more time to give Juwan Johnson just that extra beat of a second to get open, to make a play, to climb the pocket, to step up, to slide, to do something. And it just didn't kind of happen. And it was 3.9 seconds until Verse touched his arm. That's enough time usually to get a pass off, but the routes didn't come open quick enough. And they had to rely on him to make a play, and he couldn't do it. And, I think that kind of just summed up the whole thing. I don't necessarily super blame him, but yeah, that's a play where you got to climb the pocket and make a play, and he didn't. That was kind of my takeaway from it, and that kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, I guess, walking away from it, because you know what he is, and that wasn't a surprise that he couldn't elevate the team in that moment. But then you're just sitting there and you're looking at it, and they just lose this game, and they got 4 wins, and you're looking at the future, and it's kind of like, what is the point of this? Where is it going? Why are you doing this? How far can it go? It's never going to get to where it should go. And I thought that was just a really discouraging moment for a lot of reasons. Grant takes, I agree with you, beginning of the game, I think they had the ball the first 14 of the 15 minutes, 19 minutes almost overall in the first half, and you walk out of that with 6 points. That's not good enough. When they started to take things away, I don't know that we necessarily saw the offense have a counterpunch. I don't know how much of a counterpunch we can expect when you're down, 3 offensive linemen again in the second half. So that's a little bit tough. Taysom, they don't really find, a way there. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of discouraging. That's the little bit of idea of magic being there with Rizzy, and maybe they go on this run. If they get this one, maybe they win 4 in a row, and then what? I don't know. Who cares? You're just screwing up the draft position at this point. I'm back to that. And I'm gonna go with the wind on that every time. If they somehow beat the Packers and Commanders back to back, I'll be all back in on chasing it. But it just feels kind of pointless right now. It does. It just feels like playing out the string, and it's kind of just looking at that calendar, when can we start talking about the offseason? Let's get this thing rolling, because it just feels a little bit, man, I don't want to go too dark on it, but it just feels like a little bit of just, playing out the string and wasting time a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely get that feeling as well, Nick. If you had to say, though, okay, this position group or this group of players is something that in the future you can build around, you can build upon, do they have that position group that you could say that confidently right now? Okay, if they just keep this group intact, they can kind of build around them?
Oh, man.
I know.
It's nothing on defense right now. It's
tackles,
nothing.
Penning and Fuanga, baby.
I was going to work my way back to that, I think. It's definitely nothing on defense. It's not the D-line. It's not linebacker. DeMario's looking, it's getting closer to the end. Safeties, Tyron went out. You saw the problem there, but you aren't building around a guy that's his age. Cornerbacks, I thought it was spotty. Kool-Aid gave up that long reception to Demarcus Robinson. Alante, I think he's going to figure it out again on the outside, but he turns a 6-yard curl into a 19-yard gain by missing a tackle on one to Puka. Going to offense, all your receivers are hurt, so it's hard to feel optimistic about that. There is young talent there, so maybe that's in the mix a little bit, but it's definitely not running back. Alvin's 30 years old. It's the O-line, I guess. Penning has become serviceable. Fuaga is getting better. Eric McCoy's still a really good player, even though he's got some issues that I don't know. Like I'm worried about how that's going to play out long term. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if you would go O-line, and I don't feel great about the O-line. So the answer's kind of no. Like they need everything right now.
So what's interesting about that to me is the Clint Kubiak factor here offensively, because he has been given just a pile of crap for ingredients, right? Like Doritos and maybe some actually Doritos and shredded cheese is great, but like they gave him like Doritos, like expired mayonnaise, and I don't know, some salt, and we're like, make something good out of this, and he's actually done pretty well with these pieces. I mean, I was reading your piece from a couple of days. You or Mike's, I can't remember, but like you look at the Saints' offensive ranks. I don't know that there's a more impressive team in the NFL from a what personnel are you using to what statistical output are you getting. But unfortunately, it just feels a bit like the timing's just not right. Like maybe you're going to look back, you're like, man, what could have been, who knows what he's going to go on to do. But it just is this just going to end up with a situation where it doesn't matter how good Kubiak does, there's just no future here together.
It's tough for him. I think his situation is kind of the most interesting one coming out of this. If they don't retain the staff, and right now I would guess they probably turn it over. I don't know what happened. Already gotten 2 shots to be an OC, 3 times as a play caller now, but two as an OC. And do you get that 3rd shot? I don't know. I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job here. I think he's deserving of a 3rd shot. But if you are a head coach, are you hiring a guy that's lost his job twice and tying yourself to that? Because then if it doesn't work, you're the person that tied yourself to the guy that, couldn't save his team 2 other times. And, everything in this league is about just kind of staying on the raft as long as you can. Nobody really wants to take the big swing that could get you, fired or make you look bad or anything like that. So I'm curious to see. I actually asked two front office people yesterday if Kubiak, what do they think? Is he going to get thing blows up? One said yes. One said, I can't see him being more than a pass game coordinator. So I have no idea what's going to happen coming out of this. So it's tough for him. I think he's done a good job. I think he deserves to be an OC, but the league perception, I think, is going to kind of be one of those things. And he's no longer kind of like the up and comer, the guy that didn't necessarily get the fair shake. I think he's somebody that has to go out and kind of prove it. I think the thing that works in his favor, though, is that there's always 5 guys that get hired every that guy. Like I think Kubiak is above the that guy barometer, and so many OCs get turned over. He probably does end up getting a shot, but I don't know if he's gonna have like his choice of situation or anything like that. And it felt like he kind of wanted this one last offseason, and obviously it hasn't worked out as he hoped for reasons beyond his control. But yeah, I think he's done an okay job. I think he deserves it. I don't know what's gonna happen to him.
I'm in the full belief right now because you've had a defensive head coach, and I realize Sean Payton's not that long ago offensive mind, but I would love for the Saints to get a young, up-and-coming offensive coordinator, young mind, and allow him to pick the quarterback of this team, be it through the draft, be it in free agency, whatever the situation might be. I don't know why, but I prefer maybe an offensive mind and allowing him to go pick his quarterback and not be stuck with somebody that he has to try to make work.
I agree with that totally. I mean, like you can't force someone into a situation, and you want someone that's getting someone that kind of they can talk to, they can interview, they can figure out if they see the game the same way, if there's aligned ideals and all that. And that's always going to be the best situation. It's just like even what you guys do, like your producer behind it, if they kind of see things the same way, like you're going to get a better product because of it, instead of like a producer that sees things completely opposite. They don't understand the internet. You guys want stuff on the internet. Like it's just like the whole process isn't going to work as cohesively if you're trying to force things together. And I think that's in any job, but especially here, like you're trying to paint a picture every Sunday. And if you guys both speak the same language, you like the same type of play concepts, and you can, you just figure it out. Like it works a lot better. So yeah, I'm all for that fresh start at this point. I just don't think it's going to be possible. Like if they cut Derek Carr, like they literally aren't going to have money to sign like anybody else at all. So like you would have to decide that that's just the direction you're doing, and you're going to eat it for a year and come back to it. And that might not be the worst thing to do either. Like, just kind of have a reset year. If you're going to do it, reset the cap. I just don't think that. And I think where it becomes a problem is I don't know that the front office is going to see it the same exact way. I think they still feel like there's something here, and I don't know that they're totally wrong. Like, there's a way to win the NFC South. Like, we thought they could win it until 5:00 Sunday or whatever, 6:00 Sunday. There was still a chance for it to be alive. So it isn't an outrageous thought process, but like, what's the goal? Like, is the goal just to be better than the Bucks? Like, should you be aiming a little bit higher? I mean, I think so at this point, but it's going to be, it's fascinating to me because I have no idea how this is going to play out this offseason. I think the front office is going to want to hold on. And I think your coach probably says like, hey, like, let's reset this a little bit to some degree. But also at the same time, I could see someone coming in and being like, well, I'm only going to get 3 years to prove myself. If I cut Derek Carr and it takes 3 years to get out of this cap situation, where am I at on the other side of it? And I think that's the one thing that kind of makes the job a little bit unattractive is because I think your options on what you can do are kind of limited. If you try to be the guy that says, I'm going to clean this up and do it better, and I'm going to do the Sean Payton thing, and I'm going to eat the cap, and I'm going to go get Bo Nix, like, it's tough because you don't really have the cap resources to build around that at all. And if that doesn't work as quickly, you might be out of a job before you out of it. And it might be a, D'Amico coming in after all these other people ate the mess in Houston and now they're ready to roll and you ate crap so somebody else can be in a situation. It's tough. I don't know how appealing it's going to be. And I think there's going to be like conflicting ideals across the board when they're together.
Ooh, dark times. Feels dark today. Who knows? Maybe there's a little Christmas miracle waiting under that tree. We'll see. Nick Underhill, Nick_Underhill on Twitter. neworleans.football is the site. It's an incredible site. If you love the Saints, it is the site to subscribe to him. Mike, the entire team do a great job bringing you behind the scenes, film analysis, everything that you need to know about your favorite NFL football team. Nick, figure out when Dwally is, okay? And go have fun. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.